Hi, and welcome to Lovins Reads Lovecraft 10. I just did the climbing the 4 flights of stairs thing again. Elevator still out of order. That's alright. It's like doing the Stairmaster. All to read a book for a video on YouTube. We're going to finish up The Beast in the Cave today. By the time he had related this to me, I, emboldened by his torch and his company, began to reflect upon the strange beast which I had wounded but a short distance back in the darkness, and suggested that we ascertain, by the rushlight's aid, what manner of creature was my victim. Accordingly, I retraced my steps, this time with a courage born of companionship, to the scene of my terrible experience. Soon we descried a white object upon the floor, an object whiter even than the gleaming limestone itself. Again, an object whiter even than the gleaming limestone itself. Cautiously advancing, we gave vent to a simultaneous ejaculation of wonderment, for of all the unnatural monsters either of us had in our lifetimes beheld, this was in surpassing degree the strangest. It appeared to be an anthropoid ape of large proportions, escaped, perhaps from some itinerant menagerie. Its hair was snow white, a thing due no doubt to the bleaching action of a long existence within the inky confines of the cave, but it was also surprisingly thin, being indeed largely absent save on the head, where it was of such length and abundance that it fell over the shoulders in considerable profusion. The face was turned away from us, as the creature lay almost directly upon it. The inclination of the limbs was very singular, explaining, however, the alternation in their use which I had before noted, whereby the beast used sometimes all 4, and on other occasions but 2 for its progress. From the tips of the fingers or toes, long nail-like claws extended. The hands or feet were not prehensile, a fact that I ascribed to that long residence in the cave which, as I before mentioned, seemed evident from the all-pervading and almost unearthly whiteness so characteristic of the whole anatomy. No tail seemed to be present. The respiration had now grown very feeble, and the guide had drawn his pistol with the evident intent of dispatching the creature, when a sudden sound emitted by the latter caused the weapon to fall unused. The sound was of a nature difficult to describe. It was not like the normal note of any known species of simian, and I wondered if the unnatural quality were not the result of a long-continued and complete silence, broken by the sensations produced by the advent of the light, a thing which the beast could not have seen since its first entrance into the cave. The sound, which I might feebly attempt to classify as a kind of deep-toned chattering, was faintly continued. All at once, a fleeting spasm of energy seemed to pass through the frame of the beast. The paws went through a convulsive motion, and the limbs contracted. With a jerk, the white body rolled over so that its face was turned in our direction. For a moment, I was so struck with horror at the eyes thus revealed that I noted nothing else. They were black, those eyes, deep, jetty black, in hideous contrast to the snow-white hair and flesh. Like those of other cave denizens, they were deeply sunken in their orbits, and were entirely destitute of iris. As I looked more closely, I saw that they were set in a face less prognathous than that of the average ape, and infinitely more hairy. The nose was quite distinct. As we gazed upon the uncanny sight presented to our vision, the thick lips opened and several sounds issued from them, after which the thing relaxed in death. The guide clutched my coat sleeve and trembled so violently that the light shook fitfully, casting weird, moving shadows on the walls about us. I made no motion, but stood rigidly still, my horrified eyes fixed upon the floor ahead. Then fear left, and wonder, awe, compassion, and reverence succeeded in its place, for the sounds uttered by the stricken figure that lay stretched out on the limestone had told us the awesome truth. The creature I had killed, the strange beast of the unfathomed cave, was, or had at one time been, a mother-trucking man, a dirty, filthy, grimy old man that had lived in the gosh darn cave for a hideous amount of years, dirty, unwashed, and unshowered, like all those homeless people in San Francisco, except this bastard was in a deep, dark cave in Kentucky or something. What a filthy, dirty old man. And that ends the reading of The Beast in the Cave. Thank you for indulging me in the final moments where I ad-libbed about the mother-trucking, dirty old, grimy, filthy man. It was kind of planned. Because just finding a man isn't that scary. So he wrote this story when he was around 15 and later revised it. It's a good story. It gets into details, and there are words here I've never heard of before. It's a story that shows the beginnings of his talents. This old grimy man in the cave. If he had written this story as an adult, he might have been some kind of, he could have been part of a underground cave cult, or maybe down in the depths there were even more people living there. Lots of things could be down there in the cave, including a place to worship Cthulhu or some other god that Lovecraft came up with. There literally could be, The Beast in the Cave Part 2. I was thinking of writing it, or writing about what would happen. Alright, the next time we'll get to this story called The Alchemist, which was written in 1908. Thanks for listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I read it for my enjoyment, and if you want to come along for the ride, that's fine with me. It's the only way I can make myself read H.P. Lovecraft. It's difficult to sit there alone and read it, but reading it aloud makes me do it. Alright, thank you very much.